Top 10 Things to Do in Alice Springs, Australia. Although it lies over 1,500 kilometers from the nearest city, Alice Springs' remote setting amidst the endless outback is exactly what attracts so many people to the small town. Set in the center of the outback, it acts as a gateway to some of Australia's most spectacular sights, such as Uluru and Kata Tjuta, with the captivating Kings Canyon also nearby. 10. Heirloom Arts Centre. Lying at the heart of Alice Springs' thriving arts and culture scene is the outstanding Heirloom Arts Centre that puts on all kinds of amazing performances and exhibitions. Established in 1999, it contains exquisite artworks by Aboriginal artists with wonderful watercolors by Albert Namathira displayed alongside colorful carvings, sculptures and elegantly embroidered garments. Aside from seeing its more than 1,100 unique art pieces, you can also take classes at the center with ceramics, stained glass and painting workshops. 9. Alice Springs Telegraph Station. Now preserved as a historical reserve, the Alice Springs Telegraph Station is actually the original birthplace of the town. Located just 5 minutes drive north of the center, it offers a fascinating look into how Alice Springs was settled and what life used to be like amidst the endless expanses of the outback. What started in 1872 as a remote telegraph station slowly morphed into a small town as stockyards, a police station and a blacksmith's workshop all sprung up alongside other structures. In addition to exploring its well-preserved buildings and interesting exhibits on the station's history, visitors can hike or mountain bike around its gorgeous grounds or enjoy a picnic or snack at its on-site cafe. 8. Simpsons Gap. While all of the West MacDonnell Ranges are well worth exploring, one of the most picture-perfect spots in the national park has to be Simpsons Gap. Situated just 25 minutes drive west of the center, it boasts beautiful scenery with fine wildlife watching also on offer. Just one of the many gaps in the range, its ruddy red rock cliffs tower over a lovely little streambed with ponds, plants and trees all dotted about. An important spiritual site of the Arrernte people, its permanent waterhole attracts black-footed rock wallabies with peregrine falcons and painted finches swooping overhead. Aside from taking in its stupendous scenery and wildlife, visitors can hike amidst the gaps, gorges and mountains with incredible nature and views wherever you go. 7. Olive Pink Botanic Gardens. Just across the Todd River from the center of town you can find the pretty paths and desert plants of the Olive Pink Botanic Gardens. A very picturesque place to amble around, it sprawls across a huge site with more than 500 species of flowers and plants, shrubs and trees scattered about its scenic confines. First opened to the public in 1985, it is named after Olive Muriel Pink, a prominent anthropologist and Aboriginal rights activist who lobbied tirelessly for the area to be protected as a park. Over the decades, her and her Warlpiri assistants planted an eclectic collection of flora from Central Australia, such as mulga and red gums, cacti, quandongs and colorful flowers. As you wander about, you'll come across wild areas, a waterhole and sand dune habitats with divine views over Alice Springs and Encharlkarl Tyani, a sacred Aboriginal site, to be enjoyed from the summit of its small hill. 6. Larapinta Trail. Stretching a staggering 223 kilometers in total, the Larapinta Trail takes you past some of the most spectacular scenery in Central Australia. An absolute treat to hike along, it mainly follows the West MacDonnell's Range and passes numerous important and impressive sacred sites of the Arrernte people on the way. Increasingly popular among hikers from all around the world, the trail is split into 12 sections with the mighty Mount Sonder making up its western endpoint and Alice Springs its eastern. Widely considered one of the country's most breathtaking bushwalks, it winds its way along ridges, through canyons and by dry creek beds and waterholes, with epic scenery and views the whole way along. 5. Kangaroo Sanctuary. As no trip to Australia or Alice Springs can ever be complete with seeing some roos, stopping by the Kangaroo Sanctuary really is a must. Besides learning about their diets, habitats and behaviors, you can also meet some of the stars who featured in the BBC National Geographic show Kangaroo Dundee. Originally dedicated to rescuing and rehabilitating orphaned baby kangaroos, the sprawling site has since expanded to include large bucks and does. Since opening in 2005, its founder Chris Brolgut Barnes and his dedicated team have returned over 100 of the majestic marsupials to the wild. 4. Alice Springs Reptile Center. Home to all kinds of amazing creatures, crocs and snakes, the Alice Springs Reptile Center is one of the town's most popular tourist attractions. Set right in the center, it has a huge collection of reptiles from the Northern Territory with interesting exhibits on each of them. Established in 2000, it now impressively houses over 100 reptiles with death adders and king brown snakes to be spied next to parenta, thorny devils and frill-necked lizards. In addition to these unique and unusual-looking creatures, there is a saltwater crocodile exhibit for visitors to explore which includes fascinating fossils and traces the evolution of the ferocious hunters. 3. ANZAC Hill. Boasting the best views of Alice Springs and its surroundings, ANZAC Hill rises dramatically above the town center down below. Very popular with locals and tourists alike, its prominent peak can't be missed as its hulking great mass almost seems to blot out the sky. Located at the northern end of Bath Street, it is named after the moving memorial at its summit that is dedicated to the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps who fought in World War I. Aside from taking in the fine features of the sparkling white war memorial, visitors can bask in unparalleled views over Alice Springs with the magnificent McDonnell Ranges to be spotted off in the distance. 2. Royal Flying Doctor Service Museum. Right in the center of town you can find the excellent Royal Flying Doctor Service Museum, which offers an interesting look into the history of one of Australia's most iconic institutions. Home to maps, models, medical equipment and more, its artifacts and exhibitions occupy the original radio station house. Informally known as the Flying Doctor, it was established in 1928 to provide remote, rural and regional parts of the country with emergency aid and primary health care. In the museum you can learn how the first pilot, Arthur Affleck, navigated vast swaths of the state, largely using landmarks such as fences, rivers and telegraph lines to orient himself. 1. Alice Springs Desert Park. While most people use the town as a base from which to visit Uluru, Kata Juta and Kings Canyon, stunning landscapes, scenery and nature can be found much closer by at the awesome Alice Springs Desert Park. Just 15 minutes drive west of the center, its sprawling confines offer a comprehensive look at Central Australian desert environments and local Aboriginal culture. Protected as part of a park since 1997, it has various scenic sections for visitors to explore with dry desert rivers and shady woodlands set alongside the sun-scorched sand country.